This video is brought to you by Gamersubs. Use code MHP at checkout for 10% off your next order. So it's been 3 months since I did my big PS3 game collection where I went through all my PS3 games because I get asked a lot what's in my collection covering so many PS3 games now, and up until recently I hadn't really added much to that collection. You know, when people suggest games, I'm always like, yeah, I'll add it to the shopping list. But right now, you know, I'm just focusing on what I have. But if I see something, you know, that I really want, I'll go for it. So to start this video, because I'm going to go into sort of my day adventuring into the world of PS3 hunting in the wild. But I just want to start with the games I picked up before that, because I picked up 5 or so games up to that point and I've already covered one of them. So I figured, why not, you know, go over those games as well. They're new to the collection, that way we keep up with adding, you know, in these updates what I've bought recently. These games I picked up at my local EB Games. If you didn't know, some EB Games are selling retro games. I guess it just depends if anyone in your area has traded them in. They'll pop up on the shelves now, which is really cool. And sometimes, you know, they're not badly priced. We'll get into when they are. Game collecting can get expensive, but thankfully PS3 games, a lot of them haven't reached that level just yet. So we got Rayman Legends. I think I picked this up for $6. I love this game. I've heard the platinum is a pain in the ass. I think you have to play it for like 3 months straight or something to get some of the challenges done or something like that, which doesn't sound fantastic if I'm honest, but it is such a good game. I wanted to pick up the Rayman games on PS3 anyway, and for $6, I'm not really going to complain too much, and we'll sort of, with a lot of these, we'll just sort of deal with the platinum problem down the track. Alright, next up for $9. Yes, $9. Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. We have Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD. I pretty much picked this up because it was so cheap, you know, $9, nothing to sneeze at. I have 1.5 on PS3 as well. Now, I know you have to, on the PS3 versions, you have to play on every difficulty for the platinum. There's no difficulty stacks, so that is going to be a bit of a pain, but I'm just sort of enjoying playing PS3 games anyway. I like buying PS3 games for my collection, and if I've got 1.5 already, it sort of just makes sense to get 2.5 in my opinion. All right, we got a couple of $12s. I know we really splurged on this pack. We got Mass Effect 2, one of my favorite games of all time, and a game that a lot of people have been like, hey, you did a platinum video for Mass Effect 1, where the hell's Mass Effect 2? I hear you. I think I just want to do them on PS3. So I might go back to Mass Effect 1 to platinum it there, just so I can get my character to carry over and that sort of thing. But yeah, Mass Effect 2, phenomenal game. Platinum trophy is not that bad from memory. I mean, you have to beat it on Insanity, but I would have done that anyway. I love the Mass Effect series. At some point, we will platinum this, okay? If the wheel has to make me do it, I don't care. And just get it done at this point. So I saw this for $12. I was like, cool. Alright, we have done a video on this one, but for another $12, we got ourselves a Steelbook. Tekken Tag Tournament 2 ANZ Edition. I think a Steelbook that looks really nice. It was in pretty good condition. I think it's got a bend somewhere, or yeah, there it is. You can see it on the glare there. But yeah, you know, I love me some Tekken. I was not expecting to platinum this game as early as I did. Most of the time, this platinum is great. It's just those ghost battles that really hurt my overall enjoyment, to be fair. But $12 again for a Steelbook, I'll take it. All right, and the last one before we get into our excursion, for $18. I don't know what pushed me for that much. You know, it was pretty expensive for the day. Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I wanted to pick this up because my brother was down last month, and I was like, I want to play a bunch of co-op games, and the only one we ended up being Lego Batman 2. I had about, I think, 2 or 3 more games I was hoping that we could get to, but we'll have to tackle that when the time comes, I guess. But yeah, I think I picked this up because I wanted something to play on co-op, like another option. I really enjoy Resident Evil 5. I just do. I don't know what. I think it's just because it's the first one I played in the series. But yeah, really enjoyed it. I'm excited to go for the platinum at some point. I've heard it's, you know, not awful. The DLC might be interesting. I don't know if you can still get it done on PS3, but if you can, dope. And if not, well, as long as the platinum's doable, I don't care. Okay, so that was my local PS3 hunting endeavors. And I gotta be honest, in Tassie, it is slim pickings. It's just, you know, it's not the scene for it. Game collecting. You can't really go too far or do it in the wild, finding too many games. That's why I buy most of my games on eBay, to be honest with you. But when I went back recently on a little trip, I've been gone for the past week, which hopefully you guys haven't noticed because videos have just been keeping on coming on. I asked my brother if he wanted to come with me to do an out and about where we go out and we hunt for PS3 games with the thought that I might get like 5 games or something. That would be cool. That'd be dope. I ended up getting 14 in our journey, and we went pretty far. I wish the out and about video worked. It worked better in my head. I think we just need to tweak some stuff. You know, it's our first time doing it. It was a shocking day for one. It was pissing down with rain the whole day. The car's fogging up. It's you know, I'm a big boy, a big bear, so I'm cramping the car, I'm cramping the camera, I'm right in the face like this. It worked better in my head than it did in reality. But we will do an actual out and about at some point, I think, probably next year or something like that. We'll do this again because I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun going out with my brother and just going to different stores and be like, oh, what PS3 games we got? What, you know, what can we find in the wild? Because a lot of the time, if there is some, like a PS3 selection, a lot of what you're going to get is the FIFAs, the Call of Duties, you know, the 2Ks and all those types of games. Like the stuff I don't care about. One, because it doesn't have a platinum that's possible anymore. And two, I'm just not going to want to play those games really. I mean, Call of Duty, but I already have all the Call of Duties. So our first stop on this adventure, we went out in the rain, you know, it's pissing down with rain. We go about 40 minutes away to a shopping center close-ish by. It was the closest one that had the retro games. As far as I'm aware, there might be one closer, and maybe we look into that next time. But the games they had on offer, they had a decent selection of PS3 games. I probably would have picked up more from there if I didn't think I could find them cheaper elsewhere. I felt like they were quite... The games I was looking at getting there, I probably could have found cheaper elsewhere. That was my mindset at least. They had some expensive ass games like DS Collectors. I feel for you. Those games are so expensive. But I just picked up the 2 games from the first spot because, again, I probably could have picked up 4 or 5 just from that spot. I think if I went to the next store, which I'll talk about in a minute, I think there'll be less money and I think they'll be there. That was in my head anyway. But I did still pick up 2 games because I don't really see these anywhere. And one of these I've been basically on the edge of buying for like 6 months. But first up, we have Final Fantasy X and X2 Remaster. If that focuses, hopefully it does. As I've said a couple of times, I do want to platinum some more Final Fantasy games. I really enjoyed 15 a lot. I know that's a hit and miss one, but I really enjoyed it and it made me want to check out more of them. I saw this, $18. It was, I just don't see this very often, so I have no idea if this is a good price or not. I've never really looked into it, but I've heard Final Fantasy X is a lot of people's favorite. I haven't heard really anything about X2, but Final Fantasy X I've heard is fantastic, and if I'm gonna play him, why not play him on the PS3? I think literally next year I'm just going to be a filthy PS3 gamer, and I'm not gonna play anything else because I've been enjoying it way too much this year. But yeah, really excited to check this out. I think there's probably a few. I think there was another Final Fantasy game at the next stop that I was very close to buying, but I already had a massive stack and bought this. So yeah, really excited to check that out. This was the most expensive game I bought for the day though, and it wasn't like a steal. It's usually what I can find on eBay is around 50 to 75 bucks. It ranges, it really depends on how many copies are available at the time, because it can just disappear for a few months. So when I found it in the wild, I basically was like, I have to buy it. It's just a sign that I finally buy this game, and it is Tekken Hybrid for $48. 48 schmeckles. So if you don't know, this basically comes with a movie. It comes with a demo thing or prologue for which does have trophies but not a platinum for Tekken Tag 2. And the reason I picked it up was because it's got the platinum for Tekken Tag Tournament, the original, or a HD version of that game. So this is the only PS3 Tekken game I have left. And then once I've done this, I think all I have left is Tekken 8, and then we're done. I've got all the Tekken Platinums. I mean, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, but that's more of a Street Fighter game. But yeah, really excited. Hopefully, I don't want to get this too soon, because I've already, out of 9 games, I've platinumed 2 Tekken games already. I don't want to, get by the 12th game, be done with Tekken. But yeah, really excited to eventually go after this one, because I remember playing so much Tekken Bowling back in the day, and that's required for the platinum, so that should be fun. All right, but that was the first stop, and again, there was a decent selection there, and there was a couple of, different console games that I was sort of looking at just for nostalgia purposes, but at the end of the day, we walked out with 2 games. I was pretty happy with it, and it was onto a store if you're in the Discord, I have talked quite a bit of smack about. I did an online purchase with these guys, and basically I was like, everyone's recommending these guys, cool, I'll do an online order and get a couple of PS2 games, and they just arrived and they were so beat up. The cover on one of them was like photocopied, and the other one was just ripped to shreds, and I was like, this is what, they pulled this out of the bin? I was really pissed. We're talking about CEX or sex. Yeah, I had an awful experience with their online store, but I have heard, since I went on that rant in the Discord, that you want to go in. If you're going to buy some games, they do have good prices, I will say that, but you got to go in to actually see what you're dealing with. So from the first spot, I think it was another 20 to 25 minutes further into the city to finally actually go into this store and see what all the hubbub is about. And I gotta be honest, I walked out a massive fan. I was like a kid in a candy shop. I was frothing at the mouth because their PS3 selection was hefty, and there was plenty of games I left there, and I was like, maybe another time, if I didn't buy so many, I think I bought 10 games from this store, and I was like, that's enough, don't get greedy. And for one, I had a mental budget for the day of like, okay, don't spend much over $200. There was a game, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, I think it's called, which I did love back in the day. It's one of my favorite hack and slashes. It was a bit pricey for how many games I was already buying. 6 of these games were less than $10. That's what I'm sort of talking about when I was like, I saw some games at the EB Games that I was like, I think they're cheaper. And the first one up is a perfect example of that, because at EB, I think it was like $10, which you might be like, $10 not too bad. At the CEX, it was $2, and that is Darksiders. I've talked for hours about the Darksiders series. I love that series. It's my most popular video. I think it's one of my best videos, along with something else I actually bought in here. When I was doing retrospectives, I had them on the PS4, and I might still clean up the trophies on PS4, but I was like, it'd be pretty cool to go back to the PS3 to actually platinum this. And for $2, I'm like, I can't say no to that. That's an incredible deal. It's just a fantastic game. I highly recommend it if you've never played it. And I would have bought Darksiders 2 as well, but it wasn't at the CEX. It was at the EB Games we went to before, but it wasn't at that particular store. But I feel like it'd be the same case. Next up, for $3.50, we were really spending big. We got ourselves Call of Juarez Bound in Blood. This is one of those series that if Red Dead and Red Dead 2 didn't exist, this has to be like just a clear cut winner for the best Western series in gaming. Especially, I remember the first 2 and the stylized first person shooter, Gunslinger, I think it was called. We don't talk about Cartel, but yeah, Bound in Blood was one of my favorites on the 360. I'm expecting the multiplayer grind for this to be miserable. We might get to a point where we just need to bang out a couple of these multiplayer ones just so they are still possible to platinum when we want to get to them. But just an incredible Western with a great story and great gameplay. I really enjoyed this one, and for $3.50, it's like, I'd have to be stupid. And they're in such good condition. Alright, another one for $3.50. We got ourselves Rage Anarchy Edition. Rage is one of those games that I think is really underrated. I loved it since release. I'm a big fan of id Software. I grew up with Doom, Quake, and Wolfenstein, and I loved this game when it finally came out. I don't know what the platinum is like, and I feel like there's an online component to it. But, again, platinum-wise, I'm not really thinking about that all that much. I'm just thinking about, okay, is it possible to platinum? Yes, okay. We'll think of that, problem, if there is one, later. But yeah, I'm really excited to revisit this one. I loved it, as I said at release. I think this could be a really cool video, because I don't feel like, with a lot of these games, like, who the hell is covering them in the community? All right, next up, we have one that was actually suggested by someone in the members lounge on the Discord. So if you're a channel member, it's $1 a month. But basically, they were like, hey, could you get this game and add it to the shopping list? And I was like, is this even possible to platinum? I feel like I looked into it and it wasn't, and turns out it is, and that is Pure. Now, this is one of those games I remember playing a lot of on the 360 because it came with Lego Batman, and I loved it. I don't remember too much about it specifically. I just remember it's a damn good, like, dirt bike game, you know, ATVs and all that sort of stuff. I'm excited to revisit this one a lot, and for $4, you know, again, this is nothing. You know, coffees in Australia now cost more than these. I bought Darksiders for $2. A 7-Eleven coffee is now $3. What world are we living in? So this next one is one of those games where my brother definitely had an influence on a couple of games I bought during this shopping spree, because I'm not a big fan of this series, but I do love, you know, the Lego games, and that is Lego Harry Potter Years 1 to 4 for $6. Hopefully these are focusing. Yeah, I'm just not a big Harry Potter fan. I think that shocks some people, but it's not that I dislike them. I just I'm not in that fandom, like that rabid fandom for Harry Potter. You know, I'm much more Lord of the Rings, as I've said over and over again. But I do love a Lego game, and I was thinking about this earlier, and it sort of goes into, I just want to platinum PS3 games. I was like, I do have Lego Harry Potter, like years 1 to 4 and 5 to 7 on PS4. And I was just like, for $6, do I just start buying some of those Lego games on PS3 that I haven't covered yet? You know, I'm not going to recover like a Lego The Hobbit or The Force Awakens or anything like that, but for a game I haven't done that maybe I own on PS4, like, why not get it on PS3 and do it over there? You know, that's where my collection is the biggest. That's what I'm playing on the most. Why not bring it over there? All right, we got the final cheapie of this particular stack. I have one more game I picked up for less than $10, but this is the last one from CEX. I just saw it for so cheap, and I was like, I just bought the sequel not long ago. Rayman Origins for $6 dues. As I said, I picked up Legends. I sort of just felt like I had that feeling. I'm like, I'm gonna see Origins today and I'm gonna buy it. It was one of those games the whole day I'm like, that is something I feel like I can find, and I'm glad I did, because I don't think this is as bad to platinum as Legends. I don't think it's a month of long grind, but if it is, I might be stupid. But yeah, Origins was fantastic, and I loved it so much when it released. I was so happy to have Rayman back in the gaming sphere after so long away, and going back to its, you know, PS1, you know, the original roots. I was really stoked about it, and I mean, it's just such an awesome game, and $6, you cannot go wrong. I'm telling you, you can't. All right, so this next game was $20, and it was yet another example of my brother's, you know, influence being there. He basically shoved this right in my face, and he's like, dude, you have to pick this up. You have to. I've never seen this movie just while we're on it, but we've got Megamind Ultimate Showdown for $20. Yeah, probably not something that without my brother I would have even picked up. I might have looked at and chuckled and been like, yeah, that'd be maybe funny for a later video. I mean, this is supposed to be a piece of piss to platinum. I have no idea what the game's like. I don't know anything about the movie. It's just one of those, my brother said, hey, it would be funny and I would like to see it, and I was like, okay, why not? That's it. That was my rationale. There's 2 games out of this 3 that I basically had on my wish list for the day of going out and looking for PS3 games. I'm like, if I see these, they're getting bought. I don't care. As long as I find them, I'll buy them. Because I've been saying I need to add them to my collection for ages, and I just never committed for whatever reason to actually buying them on eBay. And the first up we have for $28, The Saboteur. Probably one of the most underrated games I've ever played. I absolutely love this game. If you're a fan of open world games, I think you have to play this one. It just genuinely is so unique. I love the World War II setting. I love the when you liberate, you know, different parts of the map, it goes from black and white, and the pop of red to just this beautiful color palette. It's awesome. I did a video, a retrospective on this, and I think it was Pandemic's last game, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I would love someone to pick this sort of concept up again and do it again. But yeah, the platinum doesn't seem too bad, and it's just an incredible game that I knew if I saw it, I was buying it. Speaking of content creators, I actually watched this guy stream most of this platinum pretty recently. Maybe a couple of months ago now, but it feels recent. We have Sonic Unleashed for 30 schmecks. I don't know if that's a good price or not. Again, this is one of those games I didn't really look at price differences between this and eBay and whatnot. It feels like it'd be around the $30 mark. I don't really see it anywhere. And this is one of the few Sonic games I have given a fairly good crack at. Do I remember much of it? No, I was a kid. It might not even been this one. It might have been on the Wii or something like that. I feel like it was Unleashed, but it could have been something else, in all fairness. But Sonic and the Werehog and all that stuff, you know, I said after I Platinum Frontiers that I wanted to play Platinum more Sonic games. I recently did Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. Another Sonic game, I'm down to give it a go. Okay, and last up, this was another example of a game. If I saw it, I knew I was going to buy it, but this did test me. It tested my resolve on that because, as I've said, I do not like the Platinum Edition covers. I don't like them. I don't like the yellow. I don't like shrinking the game art. I wish this was, you know, the original artwork and I would have been stoked. I'll just have to, you know, come back to this one and maybe buy an empty case or something with the original cover. But I did pick up, finally, Dante's Inferno on the PS3. People have asked me before, the DLC is not possible anymore, but the Platinum is still possible. So I knew I wanted to Platinum this basically as soon as I got into Platinuming games again. This is my favorite video I've ever made, was on Dante's Inferno and doing that retrospective and diving deep into the lore behind it. So I would love to revisit this sooner rather than later. But again, this yellow, yuck. Really, I was so close. I was very close to not buying it. Very, very close. But I just bit the bullet because I think it's hovering around the $40 to $50 mark as is. This will do to actually just play, and then I can deal with how the collection looks later. But that was CEX, you know, conquered. You know, came out with 10 games. I was pretty stoked with it, and I came out with a lot of quality games that I really had been looking for a while and just never committed to for whatever reason, but seeing them in the wild gave me that push. I did go to another EB while I was in this, you know, it was a massive shopping center. We didn't get any footage in there because it's such a tiny store. You know, we didn't want to film anyone without, you know, without consent and ask people, hey, is it right we film here? And, you know, it was just cramped and there was a lot of people in there, and I was like, you know what, just if we buy something cool, we can talk about it later. But if not, you know, awesome. But there's no point filming in here because we've been to the EBs. Just got a couple of games here because there wasn't the PS3 library like the other EB games we went to earlier. But there was still a couple of games that I was like, yeah, why not? I'll pick that up. Starting with, for $8, Dead Rising 2. My favorite Dead Rising, you know, far and away. I love this game. And I just thought, you know, again, it was one of those, I have it on PS4, I have that, you know, remaster or whatever. If it's possible, I don't know if it is. I didn't look into some of these all that much platinum wise, but if it is possible, I'd love to platinum it on PS3 because that's where I played it originally. So yeah, cannot go wrong with Dead Rising 2. And final game for this collection, you know, update, hunting, rambling. This PS3 video was a weird one. And this is, I feel like, has a weirdly hard or long platinum grind. Epic Mickey 2, The Power of 2 for $12 dues. So 20 bucks at this store, not too shabby. I loved the original Epic Mickey. I did want to play the remaster. I think last year it came out, or the remake or whatever it was. Didn't get around to it, which is typical, I think, for me. I think I would like to play a lot more games than I actually have time for. But Epic Mickey 2, I saw it and I was like, you know what, when do I find this, and for cheap, you know? I feel like this isn't, I got a decent deal on this. I might be wrong, but I feel like I did. But yeah, really good game. Loved it. It reminded me a lot of, like, you know, the Blob just meets a good platformer. So I don't think I ever played the sequel, but I definitely played the original. And if it's as good as that, I'm I'm good. Alright, so that is the collection update and the hunting part. I think if we do it again next time, I think we'll learn from our mistakes, me and my brother, and we'll make a really banger, like a proper out and about style of video. I'll try and get comfortable in front of, talking in front of people, which was hard. Bang! A nice little addition to the collection. A lot of great games we picked up. And yeah, someone who is definitely going to be visiting a CEX again as soon as I can. Probably next time I get paid and I'm down in Victoria, I'll go down and I'm buying some more games. If that Castlevania game is still there, watch out. But yeah, still plenty of PS3 games that I'm hunting for, whether that be on eBay or in the wild. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that with my brother. I wish the out and about turned out how I had envisioned it, but I envisioned someone who had done it before and knew what they were doing, which I didn't. So, you live and you learn, and at the end of the day, it was just fun. It's fun doing these collection update videos. I really enjoy them, at least. I think you guys do as well. They usually do. Not too shabby. They're just something different. They're not platinum. They're not exclusively talking about platinums. And, it's talking PS3 games and stuff like that, which I think most people on this channel now are just, they enjoy. But that's it for this video. I appreciate you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below any more PS3 games you think I need to add to my collection. Down below as well is where you can find a big list of what I have and what we've platinumed, what can't be platinumed, all that stuff. I do update that whenever I buy a new game or anything like that, so check that out. Shout out to the channel members for that extra level of support, and special thanks to members of the Bear Club, G&T Papi, Scott Unwin, Steel Vanguard, It's Grey J, Dark Wolf, Safado, Lug Knights, Golden Sparrow, Lord Alex, Kuzma, Jarvis McGee, and One Wonder Hit. Thank you all, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.